Almost there.
Almost live.
Any second.
I'm working on my side too. I'm like, I can't get TweetDeck up.
Okay, we are live. Welcome back, everybody. It's been a long time since we've done CV Tech Talk live. I think it was September last time we actually went live when we had my good friend James talking about the Know Me initiative, but it's a new year. It's a new era in American history. We have a new president. We have a historic vice president now, the first female, first African American and South Asian. So she ticks a lot of boxes right there. So it's a historic day, and to make it more historic, we are bringing our good friend, our brother from down in Long Beach, California, Mr. John Wick.
That's right.
So for those of you who don't know John, this is the real John Wick, way before Keanu. He was John Wick before Keanu started killing everybody. So.
And he's not. He doesn't even have to act to be John Wick.
That's right.
Me.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely.
So tonight, John's going to be talking leadership during a pandemic. So John, go introduce yourself and tell the crowd a little bit about yourself.
Sure. So basically, I started off like everyone else, or not like everyone else, but like a lot of people that I know, as a technology coordinator for about 8 years, and teaching teachers how to do what they desperately need right now, which is embracing technology, using it in the classroom. And did that for about 8 years. I was a vice principal for 8 years as well. I'm kind of dating myself here. I'm old, basically. But vice principal, I was the principal for 3 years in the Diocese of Orange. So all of my experience has been in Catholic schools. That's probably important to know. It's a little bit different governance structure than public school systems. And so I was a principal in the Diocese of Orange for 3 years. I started the new school at the Christ Cathedral, which is where the Crystal Cathedral used to be. So I was the founding principal there. I left for 3 years to become a head of education for a neuroeducation company, working on programs that actually measured EEG brainwaves and tried to adapt learning environments for third grade Common Core mathematics. And I enjoyed it, but I missed the classroom. I missed being a principal very much. So I swallowed my pride and I went back, and I was a teacher for 2 years teaching science in Hawthorne. And then just this last year, for the first time, I became a principal in the Archdiocese of Los Angeles. And I'm in my first year at a new school, just trying to, I think you're a little bit crazy. You have to be a principal to begin with, but to be a principal and choosing to come back when you know it's a COVID year.
Yeah, actually, the wine we chose for the day that we're featuring is in honor of leaders, because you'll see there's a picture here of see if you can see it there, of a boat in perhaps not so smooth waters. So we know that as a leader, you kind of sail that ship, and it's not always easy. You don't know what the environment will throw your way. So yeah, let's start with question one, Adam.
Yeah, question one just dropped. Again, all the questions tonight were written by our good buddy here, John Wick. And the question is, what is the biggest challenge you have faced being a leader during a pandemic? So I'll let you go and answer there first, John.
There are so many challenges today alone, just the ever-changing nature of what the requirements are to open up a school, to not open up a school, from the county, from the state, from the archdiocese, from just you name it. It's changing on a daily basis. But as much as I would love to say that's the biggest challenge, that's more procedural. And for me, I think the biggest challenge is trying to find that middle ground where you are helping your students and families to feel safe and secure, your teachers to feel safe and secure, and balancing that with the very real, needs and desires, work life and everything, to get back to work and to be back at school, and just trying to make sure that, there are opposite sides on this. People feel one way 100%, people feel the other way, and just trying to help everyone realize that we are one community and that we all have the same goal, which is the education and the support of the children. And I think that's the biggest challenge, is just trying to help people on opposite sides of the equation see each other's perspective. And that has been a constant goal of mine, but definitely something that challenges me daily.
Cool. Yeah. I know the biggest thing I know I've had to deal with is, from an instructional standpoint, on my end, is I get questions about, and I see them online too. It's not just where I work, but it's how do I get these kids engaged? Because we have so many kids that just, they turn their Zoom on, but they're not really there. They're there to say that they logged on. And how do we get them? How can we create like a classroom community? Because that's just a whole different ball game. I know I'm struggling as much as anybody, but that's been my biggest challenge, is finding creative ways to get people to do that. People were all excited. Oh yeah, we're gonna do breakout rooms, and then that's a whole nother can of worms right there. How to manage teenagers in breakout rooms and just anything we can do. So I know that's my biggest struggle by far. How about you, babe?
Oh, for me, it's been interesting because I sometimes feel like I'm in the middle. I as kind of a coach type position. So while I'm a leader of teachers and teaching them a lot of things, I hear they let me know what they think and what their challenges are. Sometimes challenges with leadership, and so I feel like it's a challenge for me to make sure that I voice those concerns confidentially so that leaders know how to kind of meet those needs, but at the same time maintain the trust on both sides, because I think that confidentiality is really important. But I also think it's important then when there are people that don't feel comfortable going forward to their leadership for whatever reason, that if I have an in and if there's a door open, that I let them know kind of what's going on. So kind of a different one for me, but that's been my challenge. That makes me think, John, how do you as a leader ensure that your staff feels safe coming to you with concerns?
It's definitely, especially because I'm a brand new leader, so I'm the new element to the school. So, they have their own culture that's already in place, which is great. But I'm an unknown. So it is hard for them to, trust and come to me. But it's something that I work on every day. Just basically what I've told everyone, whether it's staff, faculty, parishioners, anyone at the school site, I have 3 pillars that I rely on, and that's communication, transparency, and accountability. And what has helped me the most are the first 2, the communication and the transparency. So with the teachers, I give them probably more information than any principal probably should give their teachers. I'm like, here's what's happening. It's a lot of information, but at least there's a way to know why I'm making some of the decisions that I'm making, because it's complicated. And then the transparency, just showing them what's going on and why. Today, we had our TK through 2 waiver approved by the state of California. So we're in the process of deciding when we're going to come back. We've had several parent surveys, and I had meetings with teachers today to say, I have some teachers that are comfortable coming back. I have some that are not. And just really, I've tried to create an environment, and today was really helpful, where they felt comfortable enough to tell me some, even private medical stuff, like, hey, I have this issue. And, they know that it's said to me in confidence, and that's going to, help me with my decision. But really just, I think, being compassionate, being open, and being honest. There are times where we're not going to have it easy, and where the answer is not going to be what they want or what I want. But if we know the reasons why, it's easier to say, okay, let's problem solve and figure out, if we do have to go back and you're not ready for it, how do we make it so that you can, in the way that makes you feel the safest.
I'm glad that you said that, because that sounds like something we talk about in our book. Because a lot of very admin jargon says always start with the why. We always start with the who, and what you just talked about right there sounds like you're starting with the who. You're personalizing it. You're not saying here's the why and this is why you have to do it. You said here's my why, but also I want to adapt it for your needs. So I'm really glad that you said that, because that comes straight out of our book. So thanks for sharing.
And Courtney Sean here
Yep.
on Facebook is agreeing with you and giving you a shout out, John, saying that definitely knowing that why decisions are made is so important in gaining trust. Absolutely. It's huge.
Yeah, according to all the teachers that
Most of the time, an administrator's hands are tied, and we're making decisions because people up above us are telling us to do it. So understanding the why kind of gets us all on the same team. We're already on the same team, but helps them understand why the coach is making those calls.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and I've noticed that, you know, in general, the rank and file will definitely kind of want to rag on and give those admin a short leash before COVID. But I've seen a lot more empathy from the rank and file with admin, because everyone realizes that, you know what, everything that we're getting, they're getting from above them too, that they're stuck in the middle. I've seen a lot of empathy from the teachers that I've dealt with and myself personally. It's just an interesting time. So question 2 just dropped, and it says, how can you strengthen the school community when dealing with polarizing viewpoints about the pandemic, mask wearing, and in-person instruction? That's a loaded question right there.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's like that everywhere. I'm sure, John, you have quite a few of those. What I've seen that's been most successful in the districts I work with is those that give a lot of choice. And it's not always easy, right? But okay, we're going to take survey after survey after survey. Who wants to come back? Who doesn't want to come back? What would make you feel safe, etc. And something you said too, John, it's not just about the students. It's also about the teachers and how they feel comfortable as well. So, but what's your tips? What are your tips, John, on for this question, strengthening that community in the midst of all this division?
So I think you basically hit it right on the head. I have done so many surveys.
Yeah.
So the surveys are important, but even on the last survey that I did, about coming back and what it requires and who feels comfortable with different dates or different metrics and whatnot, it was basically a parent survey, but I also opened it up and encouraged the teachers to take it themselves because they're impacted. They're part of that classroom. So they took the survey and I just told them, hey, when it asks what your kid's name is, just put the name of our school and I'll know that you're the teacher that's filling it out. But it's important because, I don't just want, I do want the parents' opinion, but I don't just want their opinion. I want the opinion of as many people as I could get to inform the decision. And like you said, giving a lot of options. So even if, say if this isn't happening, but if we were to come back tomorrow, the option is going to be there for those that don't want to remain at home and still do it virtually with those that are there. So kind of trying to find that balance. And then not only having the surveys, but just last week I had a listening session where I invited all the parents that were involved in this to come, and I went over the survey results. I opened it up to questions. I shared the data and I said, here's what I'm looking at. Is there anything that I could help clarify for you? Because if you've looked at any of the documentation from the state or the county, a lot of it is contradictory. A lot of it is very confusing. The new state guidelines that just dropped on Sunday were 51 pages long. That changed a lot of what we were doing. My own waiver is 38 pages long. There's a lot. So just really for me, it's trying to get all of the information and data from all the different sources and then bringing the parents together with me, kind of summarizing it. I give them all of the results and I give them all of it raw so that they could look at it, but it's a lot. So I try and break it down and say, here's the summary. Here's what's going to be going on. And here's my interpretation of it. And then that kind of helps because they're under stress too. The parents are under stress, the teachers are under stress. They don't have time to be looking through 80 plus pages of documentation of how things are going to work. And if I could break it down into a few bullet points, and then, luckily I've built up enough trust that they say, we trust that you're going to do what's necessary. We trust that what's in the document is right. And, they have specific questions and I can help them out. It's really that communication and constantly, if you think you're communicating enough, you're not. But during COVID, I think it has to be increased even more. So you got to quadruple your communication.
Yeah, I'm thinking. I look at these polarizing. Talking the question about polarizing viewpoints on all these different things here, and I guess this COVID's definitely a very divisive thing for a lot of people. But this may be a bad a bad comparison, but the old saying that misery loves company, that if we all realize that we're all in this together, we're all frustrated about something. I mean, I deal with parents who say, hey, send them back to school now, or something like, I don't want my kid going there at all. Where we all have a legitimate gripe about this. Nobody is sitting here benefiting from this. We're all in this together. And if a lot of times we're so quick to criticize someone with any different kind of opinion about it, we realize, well, you know what, we actually are dealing with the same thing here. And if we just realize that, and once you realize that, then we'll probably be able to treat each other a little bit better. But it's definitely there is no magic bullet. I really wish there was. But I know you said you're talking about having communicating with parents. As a I went to Catholic school, kindergarten to 12th grade, so I know what Catholic school parents are like. So I know it's probably
It's a
much
whole
more,
ballgame.
they're much more invested in general than a public school parents.
Typically,
Because they're paying,
generalizing.
they are paying for it, and I
Yeah, no, I
get
see, I
that.
hear it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm not
that's
putting public school parents down at all, but I know how Catholic school parents are, and they're
yeah.
demanding. So I know
And
definitely.
that's a definite pressure point that I think public school teachers and principals are lucky not to have.
Mhm.
Everything that I do is always with the conscious, keeping it in mind that these parents pay to send their kids to this school, and if they're not happy, they will walk. And if they walk, then my teachers aren't paid and my school isn't open. And so there's a balancing act between what people want and what needs to happen. And I've always been careful, no matter what community I'm in, to say, I'm not always going to say yes to what you want, but I'm here to make sure that decisions are made in the best interest of as many people as possible. And if I could do it for everyone, I will. But there will be times where we disagree. And you just have to know that the decisions that I make are 100% based on what is going to be best for your children. And that is where my mindset is. And so even if we disagree, if you know that that's where I'm coming from, at least it's coming from a good place.
Yeah, and it's just that idea that if we all remember that we're all in this for the kids, and whether you don't like my decisions or not, if you can at least empathize that I'm doing what I think is best for the kids, it makes working together a lot easier.
Yes.
So question 3 just dropped, babe. Why don't you go ahead and read it?
Sure. It says, what is one strategy you've witnessed another school leader use during this pandemic that you think every school could benefit from?
It's a good one.
That is a good one.
So what do you got for us, John? What have you seen some other admin do?
Yeah. So for me, and the reason why I said this is it's easy, as a leader or as an admin, just to look at what you're doing. But I'm constantly looking out there because, there's this tendency to feel like you're alone, like you're an island, because admin is a lonely position. A lot of times you can't share what's going on. So reaching out to other admin, looking at what they're doing and trying to find it is really important to me. I would say going back to the school that I was just a teacher at, the principal there, Kevin Donahue, he's at St. Joseph School in Hawthorne, California. He is amazing at bridging that sort of empathy build up for teachers. So he finds ways to celebrate the teachers. He has like his Golden Thumb Award where everyone gets to vote and say what's going on. But that happened even before the pandemic. But now that the pandemic is in place and it's going on and it's all around us, he constantly brings back the mission of the school and celebrating the good that the teachers are doing. He highlights it. He tells them. I know this because I'm still on their Slack channel, so I get to see like the internal dialogue and participate in it, because he's built such a strong community there that even though I've left and even other teachers have left, we're all still on their Slack to participate because we become part of that community, even in absentia. But I would say the one strategy that I've seen him do is the intentional recognition of teachers and all that they're doing, not even just to the community, but amongst each other or individually, because as much as admin feels alone, a lot of times teachers, especially in elementary school, if you're in a self-contained classroom and you don't have colleagues in the same grade level, and it's just you, Catholic schools, that's usually what it is. You're the third grade teacher and that's it. There's no other third grade teachers. So it's easy to feel alone and unappreciated, and like what you're doing is just too overwhelming. So his strategy of constantly reaching out and constantly reaffirming what they're doing is something that I do, but I know I don't do it nearly as effective as he does. And that's something that I personally am striving towards.
Yeah, one thing I've seen my admin team do, they've taken their communication forum to a whole new level, like I've never seen before in the 16 years I've been in this district. I mean, just the constant level of communication on so many different platforms has been amazing, and I've been trying to help them with that. You know, I got on them years ago. I go, we need to set up Google Classrooms for our PLCs and for our staff meetings. We need to live stream some of this stuff and record it. And now we're doing all that. And there's no excuse now for teachers not to get the message now. Teachers know, like, there's like 4 different ways I can get the 411 on whatever's going on. Mm-hmm. So it's seeing that's been good. It's put a little bit more work on my end, but you know, that's what I'm paid to do. That's part of what my job has evolved to. I become help desk for the most part, you know, and just finding new ways. I know one thing I actually, on the communication thing there, I rediscovered, Google Currents. That's the new Google Plus. There's not much difference, but I've rediscovered it, and I have a couple PLCs that are on board about using that as a communication platform. The whole feel of it's kind of nice. So yeah, multiple platforms, so that way no one has an excuse. Everyone, there's an avenue for everybody.
Yeah. This is an interesting question about the looking at other school leaders, and I was thinking about the leaders I work with, and those that I think have been most successful in supporting teachers refused to, because I support with professional learning and coaching, and so they refused to we set dates and times, and that's it. You know, knowing that we don't know what's going to happen this year. I don't know what my teachers are going to need. I don't know if they're going to need in-class coaching support, you know, even on a virtual forum. I don't know if they're going to need training in simple Google tools. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know if you're going to need to be in the classroom because we're coming back. So not just doing that, but those teachers, most admin have done that, but those that actually communicated, talk about communication, communicated that to the teachers and said, I want to know from you what you need support from Catherine with. Not saying, oh, I think the teachers need this. I think the teachers need this, because some leaders will do that, but actually taking the time to say, not only do I want you to give me feedback on what you're looking for, but actually contacting those teachers and saying, hey, I haven't heard from you. You know, we're going to have support soon. What do you need? What's been working? So that's been what I've seen to be successful.
Your boss just
commented, there's Jen. Yeah. Loom. Oh yes. So she uses Loom, which is similar to Screencastify, same type of thing, to record short segments to share updates with staff. Absolutely.
Yeah, my principal last year, I taught him how to Screencastify to record his daily message. So
yes,
so we got some admin there getting creative with these simple little tools here.
I also like that Jen created a Google Classroom for our department, so that as we are supporting teachers that are using that platform, then everybody kind of is familiar with how it works. And it's a great place to just find like a one-stop shop as well.
Yeah, it's a great, I mean, if you really, it's just a great communication tool when you think about it. Because I mean, if you have the app and you have your notifications turned on for that specific classroom, any message put in the stream, you're going to get a notification from.
Yeah,
you know, when there's whenever the teacher is posting, you know, like action items as assignments, you're going to get an email. You're going to get an alert, and it's just a real, you know, it's just an easy way to share resources, and that's not what it was for, but it's turning out to be quite the communication tool.
Yeah, well, it's pandemic time. We use tools we didn't expect to use for certainly for more things than we anticipated, for sure. So
exactly. And just to touch on that Google Classroom, I'll share in the Archdiocese of Los Angeles, which I know it says Los Angeles, but it also covers the diocese of Ventura and Santa Barbara, that we're all encompassed.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So it's huge. It goes all the way from LA all the way up to Ventura. But we utilize, especially for the first year principals within the diocese, we utilize Google Classroom on a regular basis for most of our communication about what we're doing and how to do our own professional development as administrators.
Cool. All right. Question 4 just dropped and it says, how has the pandemic changed your role as a school leader? So I think we've kind of been beating around that bush, but so John, go ahead and entertain us.
I'm wondering too, John, how has it changed your daily role?
Oh my goodness. So as a principal, my daily role always changed every day, but never at the magnitude or with the consequences, the potential consequences of decisions. Most of the decisions I make, if I make a wrong decision, we can easily retool from it and come back. With the pandemic, I feel the pressure. If I make a wrong decision, I could be putting people's health in danger or their grandparents in danger. I have never, ever felt that level of responsibility before, where I know that the decisions that I'm making could impact lives, like not lives in like you're going to grow up and be someone great because you had this great education, which of course is going to happen, but impact whether you're alive or not alive or healthy or not healthy. And I think for me as a principal, I've never had that. The most I've had is a kid who maybe broke his arm and it was a compound fracture, and I was freaking out and we fixed it, but got him help. But never have I had to make a decision where I'm like, okay, what I'm going to have to do now impacts the entire community at a health level. And beyond that, even just, I've never, because I am a private Catholic school, I usually don't have to deal with the county or state on a lot of issues. And now we're going to be having an inspection coming up from the county, which I do look forward to, because they're making sure that we're doing things right. And if they catch something that we can improve on, they'll let us know. But just the level of contact tracing, I mean, it's basically all pandemic related, because I am the liaison now between my school and the state. I'm the one who has to report it. I have to know the differences between what happens if it's 1 student, 2 students, 3 students, what happens at each stages. I have to be the one that does the contact tracing and actually does the calls and puts all the protocols into place. I have become a pseudo healthcare contact tracing worker, and that's something that none of us, have been trained for. But that is the most dramatic change to my job. Everything else, enrollment, curriculum, professional development, making decisions for the school, fundraising, that's all normal. And that changes daily, but the weight of the responsibility of making a decision that's going to impact lives is completely new to me. And I treat it with the utmost respect and reverence. And I'm literally on the cusp of reopening, TK through 2, in February, and we've done our surveys. I have some that are ready to come back, tomorrow, which, they've said. I have some that are like, not until we reach less than 25 cases per 100,000, or we're in the red tier. Like, there's so many different things. So for me, that's what's changed the most. I have never had to really consider the health and well-being of my community at this high of a level. Usually, because my school's usually safe. My school doesn't have these, before this, the biggest deal was, someone might have head lice. What do? We sent out the notice, that was the biggest deal, or chickenpox, which, they have the vaccine for now for that. So just these things. And this is one that's a complete unknown. And even now, we're working with the local hospital to try and schedule vaccinations when we hit the 1B for California, our stage for educators. They contacted us, but now their stockpile has changed a little bit and it's up in the air again. So I guess the biggest change is I'm a healthcare worker, kind of. And it's awe-inspiring, but also it's just, I have to make sure that no matter what decision I do, that I'm doing it and I feel good about it, because if I'm wrong, at least I did it knowing that I'm doing everything in my power to go above and beyond what's even in our waiver of the requirements.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know what? I think one of the rules that, or a way I've been changed, I because I'm in the classroom part time, I have an even greater appreciation for office staff than I ever did before,
Mm.
for our clerical staff, because and there's that initial like, oh my god, I have to do all this paperwork now. We have a lot more of that of like clerical work that we have to do as far as for attendance and asynchronous versus synchronous and logging intervention and things that we never really had to do before, but are necessary in order to really keep track of things. And like the office staff can't do that themselves, so that kind of got pushed on teachers. But I've noticed that initially like, oh, here we go again, more stuff from the teachers, but as we've gone through it, we've streamlined the process, and we've realized that this is necessary. It's temporary. This is not going to last forever. At least cross my fingers, knock on wood. But that's definitely something that I've done more of that than I've ever had to do before. But really, I'm kind of getting a taste of what the clerical staff does all the time, and even they're doing more. So we're all doing more of things that we definitely don't want to do. On top of the fact I've been help desk for more than I ever have been in my life. So,
and because we're all doing more, something that Jen Franconi on Facebook here pointed out is SEL for staff, making sure we're really working on those social emotional needs of our staff and of our colleagues is so important. It's not just for the students, because if we're not available to be our full well selves, we're not going to be able to serve those students. So it's something that's been important lately too.
all right, well, man, CB Tech Talk flew by tonight, man. When you have good friends and good wine, the time flies. So I want to thank everybody on Twitter and on Facebook for joining CB Tech Talk. Don't forget to go to cbtechtalk.org in the near future, where we will upload this broadcast both on YouTube and onto our podcast. So you can take it with you and listen to the audio version of this. So thanks again, John, for hanging out with us, and any final sentiments you want to leave the audience with.
Hang in there. I think as Kat mentioned, the SEL is super, super important for your faculty, for your students, for your parents, but if for you too, if you're an administrator, just everyone. Take focus, give yourself a break, be super flexible. There are literally life and death issues going on right now that, does it really matter that this thing got turned in today, or can I get it tomorrow? It's not going to break the bank. Showing some compassion and just trying to move forward and keep reality in perspective, because reality is kind of scary right now. So if we're going to work, let's work together. Let's help these kids. Let's help the families, and we're all on the same team.
And John, do you have any sarcastic quips for Brian Costello? He's getting snarky in the comment section right now.
Brian, oh my goodness, he's going to be in John Wick Chapter 5. It's a whole Brian episode.
All right.
It takes place in a restaurant and a school, so he'll be well versed.
Well, yeah, there was a bar for him because he attends bar too as well. So.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, thank you everybody, and we will see you guys hopefully next week. That's the plan.